Certain canines can give off an intimidating and menacing vibe. The dog featured in this narrative happened to be one such creature that made people go out of their way to steer clear of it. Nevertheless, when an individual stumbled upon the enormous secret concealed by this pup, their disbelief knew no bounds. Marcus resided in a cozy town nestled near the untamed wilderness of Alaska, within the United States of America. Although he cherished his hometown, having been born and raised there, and having spent his entire life amidst the small cluster of buildings, there was one aspect that didn't quite win his affections: the winters. During the colder months, daylight dwindled, temperatures plummeted below freezing, and snowfall frequently blanketed the surroundings, drawing widespread disdain for the icy season. Marcus wasn't alone in his dislike of winter. Many of the local animals shared his sentiment, including domesticated dogs and cats. These gentle creatures sought solace indoors, huddled by the fireplace, striving to preserve warmth. However, amidst this aversion to the frigid climate, one particular canine stood out: the exuberant husky named Bruce. Bruce reveled in the wintry conditions, gleefully frolicking in the snow or finding tranquility as delicate snowflakes descended around him. While some might perceive this as harsh treatment for the pup, Marcus understood that it was simply ingrained in the husky's nature to adore the cold. Siberian huskies, after all, were bred as snow dogs, specifically designed to thrive in cold weather, serving as tireless sled dogs in snowy landscapes. These remarkable canines undergo rigorous training to traverse vast distances in freezing temperatures and blizzards, making winter their prime season. However, Bruce, the husky in question, posed a challenge due to his territorial nature and tendency to bark at anyone who ventured near his abode. His seemingly hostile demeanor prompted people to steer clear of him whenever possible. Unfortunately for Marcus, he had to pass by Bruce's house every day on his way to work at the school. Each time Marcus walked past, the husky would sprint to the fence, barking vehemently as if attempting to scare off anyone who dared approach. Fortunately, the formidable fence stood between them, ensuring Marcus' safety by preventing the dog from reaching him and potentially causing harm. While Marcus held a deep affection for dogs, he also recognized the potential danger they posed, especially when protecting something they perceived as their own. Marcus had no desire to antagonize Bruce, who possessed an impressive set of teeth. Little did Marcus know, however, the unexpected actions of the husky would soon unfold, forever altering his life. It had started off as a relatively normal day for Marcus. He had woken up early so that he could get to school with enough time to set up for his day of lessons. He worked as a teacher at the local high school where he taught history. He loved his job as he was thoroughly interested in his subject and tried to impart that interest and enthusiasm onto all of the children who would listen to him. As usual, Marcus began his walk to work. It had been a particularly cold night, and a few inches of snow had built up while the world had been asleep. Wrapped up in warm clothing, Marcus hurried to work so that he could get out of the cold as quickly as possible. As he passed by Bruce's home, the husky quickly ran up to the fence and began to bark. Ignoring the dog, Marcus simply picked up his pace as soon as the school was in sight, eager to warm his frozen hands up. Once at the school, the man's day progressed like usual. He taught his classes about whatever they were learning, and even had a few of them take tests to see just how well they were understanding his teachings. However, because of the tests, Marcus had a lot of work to grade, and as the bell rang for the end of the school day, the man stayed in his classroom to try and get as many test papers graded as possible. By the time that Marcus had finished with roughly half of the papers, it was already dark outside. Realizing that he needed to get home and take some much-needed rest, the man began to pack up all of his belongings and made his way out of the school. On his way back home, Marcus stopped by the local grocery store to pick himself up some dinner, which included a large steak. Once that errand was complete, he began to make his way back to his home, huddling against the bitter wind and falling snow as he went. However, as he was approaching Bruce's house, Marcus noticed something that froze him to the spot. There was a large hole in the side of the fence. This could only mean one thing: Bruce had gotten out of the yard and was loose somewhere on the streets. This could potentially be dangerous, as the dog was known to have a bit of a harsh temperament, and Marcus didn't want to be the one who the canine decided to have a go at, especially so close to his home, which the pup was quite territorial over. trying to get home. Before Bruce showed up, Marcus picked up his pace and quickly walked down the street. However, as he turned the corner, he couldn't help but notice a strange shape at the mouth of an alley a few feet away from him. The shape was round as if something was curled up, and it was covered in freshly fallen snow. However, the strangest thing about the object was that it was moving. Marcus crept closer to the strange shape, wanting to know what it was. But when he got close, he was shocked to discover that it was Bruce. The dog was curled up in the snow, looking as if he was sleeping. At first, Marcus didn't know what to do. He didn't want to get too close to the canine as he was worried that the dog would try to attack him. But then the man heard something that made his blood run cold. There was a little whimper from underneath Bruce. Knowing that he couldn't just leave whatever it was lying in the alley with Bruce on top of it, Marcus slowly crept closer to the dog. As the man approached the husky, the dog emitted a slight growl. Sensing the need for caution, Marcus halted his movements and reached into his shopping bag, retrieving a steak intended for his own evening meal. Offering the steak to the dog, he demonstrated trustworthiness, gradually inching closer until he could gently nudge the dog away from its post. However, when Marcus glimpsed what the dog had been protecting, disbelief washed over him. Nestled beneath the husky lay a tiny baby, seemingly only a few months old. Without hesitation, Marcus stooped down to pick up the child. Surprisingly, the baby radiated warmth, leading Marcus to realize that the only reason the infant had survived was due to the diligent efforts of Bruce, who had kept the child snug and safe. In that moment, Marcus wished he had another steak to offer the dog, who watched him intently, ensuring no harm came to the baby. After safely returning home with the boy, accompanied by Bruce, who had faithfully trailed behind, Marcus promptly contacted the police and ambulance services. Swiftly, paramedics arrived, rushing the baby to the hospital for thorough examination and care. Several days later, Marcus received the heartbreaking news that the baby he had rescued had been intentionally abandoned by his mother, who felt unprepared for the responsibilities of motherhood. Fortunately, the infant had only suffered from mild hypothermia and didn't face any serious health issues. Upon learning that there was no one else to provide care for the baby, Marcus made the resolute decision to adopt him. A profound sense of responsibility washed over Marcus, recognizing that he had been the one to discover and save the child. With the adoption process moving relatively swiftly, Marcus soon became the loving father of Dylan, embracing him as his own son. Meanwhile, Bruce was returned to his rightful owner, resuming his role as the vigilant guardian of his home. However, every time Marcus encountered Bruce, he made sure to offer the faithful pup a small treat, expressing his immense gratitude for the dog's unwavering devotion in saving his new son's life. These gestures served as a heartfelt reminder of Marcus's deep appreciation for Bruce's heroic act. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments section. Thank you.